Pros and cons of living in Portland, Oregon. If you're thinking of moving to Portland, Oregon in the next year, then this brutally honest video is just for you, because we're going to go over 3 pros and 3 cons about what living in Portland is really like. That way you can plan, strategize with me, and ultimately pick the perfect place for you in the entire Portland market. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim Jackson, an Oregon and Washington realtor. I am serving the greater Portland, Vancouver market. So if you're thinking of moving here, make sure to subscribe. We have gone all over both sides of the river, tons of different neighborhoods. So subscribe to stay along with the journey. And let's get going on the 3 pros of why people are moving to the Portland area. Starting off with the 3 pros. So one of the major reasons people stay in Portland, Oregon, why they come here in the first place, why people have stuck around despite the cons that we're going to list later on in the video. It is this wonderful, awesome green space. I mean, you can see the city from up here, whoop, right there. This is just one of the major city parks, but we have this all over Portland green space. Not to ruin too many surprises, but one of the cons is going to be the amount of rain that we get. But all of that rain leads to us being just an evergreen state. Washington and Oregon are just both doused in greenery, and it's something that doesn't go away, doesn't die away. In the fall time, your winters are still full of color despite the clouds being gray. You can walk in what feels like you're out in the forest just 5 minutes away from where you live. You see the moon above the cloud right there? This is just kind of one of the beautiful views you'll see from being around living in Portland. And having a beautiful park like this, I mean, we have tons of different green spaces that you can go walk your dog, ride your bike, go trail running. A very active outdoor community that has a lot of these different green spaces just minutes from your front door. Like I said, Forest Park is another great place to go and explore and be outdoors. We've got the gorge right on our front doorstep. We have so many trail systems, so many places where people get out and just go for a weekend to get away from it all, to really reset, rewind, and it's created this atmosphere of a peaceful city that gets a ton of oxygen. We just get so much fresh air out here that you can really feel the difference. Not to mention all the different waterways that Portland has to offer in Vancouver as well. You've got tons of lakes, rivers where you can go out paddleboarding, kayaking, going out and exploring nature. There's not only the green spaces, but there's the waterways to go out and explore as well. Let's go talk about pro number 2 on the streets of Portland. So here we are coming down from the top of Mount Tabor over there. We are walking down the Hawthorne Strip. And while I've got you here, let's just quickly talk about some neighborhoods in the area that I'm walking. We've got Montevilla just on the other side of Mount Tabor, beautiful strip. We're going down the Hawthorne Strip. We're gonna grab a cup of coffee and talk about pro number 2 here. We've also got South Tabor is just behind me. Beautiful homes with a beautiful view. We've also got Cherry Park, a little bit of an oasis, just a little bit further that way. So tons of great neighborhoods in this general area. So let's talk about the big 6 here. We're going over pro number 2, and that is the relative affordability and the relative population. So the big 6 are the major Pacific West Coast cities. You've got Los Angeles, and you've got the 3 S's, which is, see if I can remember, San Francisco, San Diego, and San Jose. And you've got Seattle and Portland to kind of round out that list. So when you're looking at those different cities from a population and affordability perspective, Portland is definitely on the top of the list from a benefit to people coming in and looking at which city do they want to land in. I mean, Los Angeles has got a population just in their proper area of 4 million, and beyond that is just a sprawling, it's a mega decapolis, or whatever you call those mega cities. Portland has got a population of about 750,000. If you expand that to greater Portland, we're about 2.5 million. But if you look at San Francisco, which is still pretty tight and packed in like Portland is, their expanded population is 7.5 million, which is 3 times the size of Portland. And they're even on the smaller end. If you look at prices, I mean, I say relative affordability because nobody's saying any of this is affordable. That's just not a thing. But when you look at relative affordability, you've got the price of Los Angeles homes here, San Diego, San Jose, San Francisco, Seattle. Portland comes in well below them. And so it's such an affordable city to live in when you're looking at the bang for your buck, kind of what you get for what you're paying. I still think Portland can top that list. Look, I'm not here to say that housing prices are, by any stretch of the imagination, affordable. But even the cost of living, if you were to go move to like a place like Hawaii, where I've heard a gallon of milk could be like $20, or a dozen eggs is $20 because of their shipping constraints. So Portland still very much is, relative to the big six, an affordable place to live and a great culture for what you get. So let's actually go over pro number 3. We are going over the coffee culture, the beer culture, just the general culture. We're going to go over to John's Market, a huge selection of beers. So we are going into John's Market here on Powell. Huge selection of beers. Absolutely massive, and beer culture is such a huge part of Portland. But I think the general culture is not just the beer, it's, I mean, we already mentioned the outdoors. The beer is a huge part of it, the coffee, the food, the art. We're just kind of weird, we're different. Austin tried to copy us, and there's so many beers to pick from. But we're just unique. I mean, if you were to go to all the major West Coast cities, you would say Portland definitely stands out. We're different. We're not like above the rest. We're just a completely different vibe. And I've even traveled to England where the beers, you'd think it'd be a lot better, but the best beer that they have to offer is beer that they've sourced from the Pacific Northwest. We are the origination of the microbrewery. We're kind of the origination of a lot of forward thinking, a lot of art, a lot of even like fashion culture. If you look at the way people dress, it definitely followed the beatnik hipster vibe that I guess Portland put off. So there's a lot of things that follow us. And so when you're living here, you're kind of at the forefront of culture. You're seeing things happen before they explode and take off nationwide. And it's been really cool to experience. You know, some of the people that you might see on YouTube haven't lived in Portland for more than a couple years, so they haven't been around to witness. I've been here since 2001. And I've just always noticed that when Portland does something, the rest of the world, or really at least the rest of the nation, but the rest of the world is watching. So yeah, we're going to sit down with a beer. We're going to talk about the cons. You need beer to do that. Just got a pour from the food carts here at John's Market. Before we get into the cons, though, I just want to quickly say that if you are thinking of checking Portland out, be sure to sign up for our headhunters list down below. You can call, text, or email me right here. The information is right there. Just shoot me a text, give me a call, let me know when you're coming in. I like to get one step ahead of the ball. That way, if you're wanting to get a curated list of properties, I can send that your way, and we can find you the perfect place in Portland where you want to be. And obviously, I'm licensed in Washington, so it doesn't have to be in Portland proper. We can look at all the suburbs, all the different areas. You know, Happy Valley, Beaverton, Vancouver, wherever it might be, I can help you out. So getting into the cons, I really think you should look at this list not really as necessarily cons, but things to consider. I mean, they are cons, but for some people, they might just be neutral, or they could even be pros for some people. And so to start off with the cons, like we mentioned, we've got the rain here, that we have so many gray, cloudy days. We're not quite like Alaska where you don't even see the sun for a period of time, but you do have a lot of days that are dark, and people will talk about seasonal, it's called, where you have the seasonal psychological sort of effect, where things are, you know, you got to get out and get the sunlight when it's out. I mean, the sun's out today, so I am out walking and talking, but you're also going to see me filming in the rain. Now, with the rain, you do get the greenery, so there are the positives. But if you are not a huge fan of rain and you love to see the sun all the time, year-round, I would probably consider California or Colorado before you came up and decided Oregon was the place to be. I personally love the rain. It really goes hand in hand with our coffee and beer culture. It goes hand in hand with being an artist and being able to meditate. The rain is just such a great thing where when you hear it, it really relaxes me. I love falling asleep to the rain. I love having skylights where I can hear the rain pattering on the windows. So to me, the rain is a positive, but it can get to you sometimes. And sometimes it's just like, man, when is spring going to come? When is summer going to come? And it makes the summer so much better because you kind of know what you're missing out on when we get those hot, sunny days. So I really like all 4 seasons of Portland, and it's why I stick around. Now, getting into the second con, and like I said, I've got to drink beer for this one because it's hard to talk about a city that you love in, a less than positive light. It's kind of like the LCD Sound System song, New York, I love you, but you're breaking my heart. Portland has broken a lot of people's hearts because they're so in love with the city and they want to see it grow. But really, I think that's the reason that's going to get us through this con, and that's been the unrest, the homelessness, the drug crisis, the graffiti problem, the violence that spiked after COVID. COVID did not treat Portland favorably. We definitely got hit probably one of the hardest hit cities based on how we cracked down and the side effects of COVID. It really did create not just a permanent problem on the streets where you could see it and feel it palpably, where there was just like this, what is going on? What is happening? Where are we going to go from here? It tore a lot of people up. But it also just created a bit of a PR nightmare where I think Portland's still kind of recovering from that and trying to come back to like, hey, we're a great city. Like, people are still here rooting for the city. And the people that are here and actually care about the city will ignore a lot of these problems. Sure, I've had some videos about why people are leaving Portland, why Portland's falling apart. But that is all because there are a lot of people saying it and feeling it. But it's not necessarily the trajectory that Portland's going in. 2021 was a lot worse than we are right now. And if you ask a lot of people that actually go into Portland and see Portland and know what Portland is really like, not just the keyboard warriors that you're going to see down below in the comments saying, fuck Portland, like, we don't care about Portland. Those people haven't been there for 5 years. The most they've experienced from Portland was, maybe the food carts out in one of the suburbs, and they said, I went to Portland and it sucked. Or they drove downtown to one of the sketchiest parts because they got lost and they saw a couple homeless people and then they freaked out. Like, look, if you don't want to see homeless people ever again in your life, then Portland's not the place for you. We have a homeless population. It's just a fact of being in a big city. There's plenty of places where you could go and never see anybody again. So I wouldn't suggest Portland if you don't like people or if you don't like people having problems because, we're all human and we all have problems. And if you can't get over that fact, I would go live on a tiny remote island where you're the only person living there. Okay, that's a little bit harsh. I mean, I get it. There's other states, there's places where you can go out and be more isolated from people. And I understand if that's your vibe. I mean, to be quite frank, Portland has some suburbs where you can go out and be quite isolated and not have any of the big city problems. I mean, I know people that have moved out to Estacada to get out into the trees and be isolated from their neighbors. Up in Ariel in the foothills of St. Helens is another great place where I've had clients go out and get acreage property, and they can still come into town to enjoy the nightlife, but they are far away from anything that's going to, affect their quality of life and what they hope for. So yeah, that's one of the major cons. I don't say it lightly, and I don't say it in a callous way or in a way that I'm trying to say it as blunt truth as possible and to share with you what I've experienced since living here since 2001. I mean, I'm not just saying this as a newcomer or as somebody that has no idea what they're talking about. I lived in one of the sketchiest neighborhoods in Portland throughout the COVID era, and I heard gunshots from my front doorstep every single day. I almost got gunned down myself, and that's the story for another time, but there was definitely some times where Portland was going through it. We're still going through it, but I think we're coming out the better. Now, to finish off the list of the 3 cons, this one's a little bit more subtle or not as noticeable because wherever you go, you're going to have bad drivers. But really, the big thing with Portland is that we do have pretty bad drivers. I'm just going to be honest. And it's not really helped by the fact that we get rain. And with rain, we also get some extreme weather events. Like every once in a while, we will get ice in the winter. we will get a coating of snow, and Portland just loses its mind when that happens on the roads. We also have a lot of bottlenecked highways. While we're a very bike-friendly, walk-friendly city, we're not a super driver-friendly city. We're an older West Coast city with tons of mountains and tons of rivers and things to navigate around. And with that has come some fairly awkward, curvy traffic patterns where you're going to see bottleneck traffic happen a lot more frequently. Now, we're definitely nowhere near the traffic that you see in most major West Coast cities, but you will notice fairly bad drivers relative, and you will notice that traffic will get pinched up when it really shouldn't be. There's an I-5 pinch point where it goes down to only 2 lanes, and it's said to be one of the worst pinch points on the entire I-5 corridor. But because Portland's priorities are closer towards green, sustainable living, biking, walking, creating a more, I guess, Amsterdam type city where things are a lot more walkable, the city doesn't focus so much on relieving traffic as it does creating alternative forms. And you'll actually also see that in their coding, in the way that they are trying to expand and plan the city. And some people love that. I mean, and really the diehard people will say it's not enough, we're doing it wrong, we're mixing the cyclists with the cars, and it's not good. But it definitely is leaning in the direction where, you know, entire side streets have been shut down in order to make way for cycling traffic, as an example. So if you don't like bad drivers, I would just be cautious. I've had a couple accidents where I wasn't at fault. Somebody hit me in the Portland area. And so I definitely know to look out for other drivers on the streets of Portland. And honestly, if you drive defensively and not aggressively, you're probably going to be A-okay. It's like any other area. I'm sure New York probably has worse drivers. So thank you for making it to the end of this video with me. Thanks for getting coffee, walking Mount Tabor, having a beer. If you want to do any of this one-on-one, you know, let's just come out, go to the food carts, have a beer together, and chat about what you're hoping to do if you come and visit our area. I'm more than happy to make that happen. Just reach out to me via text or email right here. We can set up a one-on-one consultation. I can set up a curated list of homes to find you the perfect Portland area. And of course, subscribe so you can learn more about what it's like to live in the Portland area. You can learn more about the neighborhoods, and you can follow me in this journey of seeing where Portland goes in the future. I'm excited. I know we talked about a lot of pros and cons, and so if there's any questions, leave those in the comments. But I want to say at the end of this video, despite all the cons and the drawbacks, I really am excited about the future of Portland as a general metropolitan area, because we're more than just whatever's happening downtown. We are an entire city with tons of suburbs, tons of things to do. So I'm just really excited that you're along for the journey. Watch this video next, and I will see you next week.